What's going on, gang? So I recently got the Mattel Troodon here, and it's a really cool looking figure, but I was thinking maybe we could take this to the next level and customize this guy to look a little bit more like the Telltale Jurassic Park video game version. I'm going to add a feathered tail to it. Now, I'm not going to sculpt the feathered tail on this thing. I'm actually going to use this figure here. This is, I don't remember the name of it, but it looks like the Roadrunner from the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote, but I'm going to make a mold and a resin copy of this tail. I'm just going to take a heat gun and heat up the joint and pop this thing out, and that way I can damage free remove it and then put it back on when I'm done. I don't have to worry about sacrificing this figure just for the tail, but I think it'll look really cool given the Troodon a feathered tail. So we're going to go over mold making real quick. I'm going to just do a simple Lego block mold of this thing. I'm going to push some clay down onto a Lego square and then put the tail and push it down in there, and then use a little wooden dowel for an air vent. That way when I pour the resin in the bottom, you can see here the resin will go down at the base of the tail, it'll flow down, and then it'll push the air up, and that way I won't get any air bubbles at the tip of the tail. So here's the block mold with the tail inside, and now I'm just going to mix up some rubber and make myself a mold. And this is the Smooth On 25. Cures in about an hour and a half depending on the temperature, and it's pretty cold where I am right now, so it takes a little bit longer for this to cure, but it's a good silicone. I enjoy using it, especially for making quick molds. But we're going to do a high pour into the block mold and get all that silicone up in there, and then let this thing cure, and then when it's done we can go ahead and demold it and pour a resin tail. So I've already poured the resin the night before and let it cure overnight. And here is our nice little gray copy of the tail, and you can see here I'm going to line it up with where the base of the tail and the diameter of that tail kind of meet, and then I'm going to snip it off and I'm going to pin it. So I'm going to drill a nice small hole in the base of that tail, and then drill a hole in the base of this tail, and take a little piece of metal wire and then just pin it into place. And then once I get it positioned right, I'll just pop some super glue on either end and then push it together, and it'll be ready to rock and roll. So now that I have the tail done, I need to figure out the eyeball. So now the idea that I had in mind was giving this thing really big giant eyeballs like it has in the Telltale game, right? So I took the head apart, I took a heat gun to it and just broke the glue, the factory glue, and you can see here I have a resin casting of a bead pushed inside the eye socket to give it that really big, sort of creepy looking eyeball like it has in the game. And I carved the regular eyeball out with an X-Acto knife just to make room for it, and then I heated up the skull with the heat gun just to make the plastic pliable. But you kind of have to do this a little bit at a time, because you don't want to cut too far in or risk slicing the head, because the plastic is really soft. But once you work at it, you can get a Dremel out, and then you can kind of get in there and hog out that little area. That way you have a nice socket for the ball to fit in. And then once you get that pretty much done, here is the Troodon with the big white eyeballs like it's got in the game, and it looks super creepy and super menacing looking. I actually really dig it. I kind of wish the original figure had these bright white eyeballs, but that's what we're here for. We're doing custom, so we always think it's fun. So I'm going to glue this thing together, get it all ready to go, and we'll start slinging some paint on it. Now, the paint for this thing is really basic, so I'm really just going to kind of play off the factory colors. I'm not going to go on full repainting it. I really want to just sort of blend the tail bit in with the new tail, and I'm just using a little bit of gray mixed with that, and giving it a couple of coats just to tie everything together real quick. And this gray is just a hair darker than the plastic, but it'll be fine once we get to going. And then the rest of the paint is just black paint. So it's basically finishing off the factory paint that's already on here. So I'm just going to put some stripes on the back, add some dots and stuff like that, just to add a little paint deco to this thing. It's very straightforward. This is just matte black acrylic paint that I'm using, nothing fancy here. You know, with a repaint like this, you kind of have, free range to be creative and kind of do any kind of design you want on it. So I'm just kind of going with the flow, seeing what happens, and just kind of playing off the factory paint that's already on it. I'm giving the eye socket a little black kind of eyeliner around it to sort of make that eyeball really pop. And this is really hold your breath time here, because you don't want to miss and get black paint on that big old white bead. It'll look funky, and you have a trouble getting it out, getting the paint off. Now I'm going to finish things off here and paint the claws. and do the claws on the feet and everything like that, and add some more spots on the legs once I'm done touching the figure. But that's pretty much it. Like I said, super easy repaint to do. Aside from the little modification of the eyeball and the tail, this was really easy. It only took me a few hours to do this, assembly and everything like that. But it turned out great. I'm really pleased with it, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video and you found the information provided useful, and it's inspired you to customize your Troodon. If you do, remember to tag me over on Instagram at TedBrothers. I always like to see what you guys can come up with. Remember, for more Jurassic Park related content, you guys know where to find me. Links will be in the description box below. You guys take care, and I will see you in the next video.